So the question I've asked myself is, am I getting better mileage now that they had the last update in the Tesla? And the answer is, yeah, actually they upgraded my mileage just a little bit, so I'm back closer to where I was when I first got the car. When I first got it, I was getting about 215 miles out of a full battery charge, and then it reduced over time to about 203 for a period of time, and then it was down to like 190, I want to say 195, something like that, for a while there when they provided a software update that gave me more power. And now it's back up over 200 again. It's about 205, 206. So it's not quite as good as when I first got it, but certainly they're controlling the battery differently than when I first got the car, than when they installed some of the updates. So it's interesting how they can manipulate the amount of battery usage you get out of it based on some of the controls that are happening within the car. I have no real control over that or what I can do with it. I really can't change anything or manipulate anything to give myself better mileage or better economy that way. Now, as far as the watt hours per mile, I have noticed that since they did the last upgrade, my watt hours per mile have been about the same. So I was wondering if maybe it was consuming energy a little bit faster, but it's not. Around there, sitting at about 245, and it's been that way for the longest time. That's about where I've been over time. I'll go back and look at the app that I was using earlier on and just to see where it was, but that should be almost exactly the same place it was previously. So that's really good. Now, two other things I wanted to mention. The first has to do with charging. If I'm going to be charging at a Tesla supercharger or at home, I just plug in my Tesla charger, and that's no problem. But when I'm out somewhere and I want to do public charging, like when I was going to work, where did I put my adapter? I have this dongle here that I have that allows me to connect up to the public chargers with the J1772 type, as opposed to connecting to the Tesla type. And the question is, where do you keep that in the car? Because it's kind of a pain. It rolls around a lot. At some point, I kept it in the frunk, in the bag that Tesla gave me, and at some point, I put it in the back, and I had it in a little pocket back there. But I found those to all be kind of a pain, especially when I was charging at work, because I always had to like open the trunk just to be able to get there, just to be able to get the little adapter out. I'd have to open the trunk just to put it back. And I know it's trivial, but it was a pain in the neck. So I finally figured out a better location for it. And that location is actually right here next to me in the little cubby that's at the bottom of the bottom of my seat, or on my door panel, and it's right here. And what I did to keep it from rolling around, because you can see that this is a little bit smaller than the actual compartment here, so it had a tendency to like roll around a little bit. It was kind of annoying. So I actually took a piece of foam tubing that I had and just cut it open. I think this was from an old pool noodle, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it wasn't. It doesn't feel like it was, but it was from something like that. And I just went ahead and cut it open, and I just keep that in there, and I just basically put the adapter in the little, I can't do it with one hand, that's funny. I put the adapter in the little thing like this, and then just lay it down. And if I push it all the way back here, it stays in place. It doesn't move around. It's pretty solid in there. So I found that to be a pretty good solution for this problem. I don't really use this cubby very often, so it kind of works out pretty well that I can just keep my adapter in there and it's always available to me. And I don't have to worry about getting it out of the car. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the car itself being a computer, basically. Yeah, you have an engine that runs it, and you have brakes, and you have other things that make it a car. But the car itself is controlled by a computer. And I was noticing earlier today as I was driving the car, I had some funky things happening with the car itself. It was doing some weird things with the dashboard, the display. I couldn't connect to Wi-Fi. It was doing some other things. It was a little quirky. And you just notice these little quirky things over time. The car works just fine, but the quirky things sometimes happen and you have to deal with it. Now there is a reset. It's like booting up a computer. It's like turning a computer on and off, or your phone or anything else. There is a reset for the car, and I'm going to show you how that works because I'm going to reset it right now anyway. Set the car. What you do is you push both of these buttons at the same time, both of the steering wheel buttons, the dials on here, and you press the brake. And when you do all three things together, it will reset the car for you. So. And just like any computer, you get a symbol kind of telling you it's rebooting. This one took, a minute and a half to actually start the boot up sequence. That was kind of a weird thing, but it seems to be booting now, seems to be fine. I'll try it out and see if everything is working, but I think I've got it. And so there you go. There's a couple of things about the Tesla that I've noticed over the last little while that I just wanted to share with you. Now overall, I'm trying to decide next what I want to do about tire rotation. I talked about that in a previous video. I may wind up rotating them myself. I'm thinking about maybe just getting a couple pieces of equipment and doing it myself. Certainly the filter that's here for the cabin air filter, I can replace that myself. That's an easy one. So there's no need to have someone do that. But the tire rotation, I'm still trying to figure out. I will figure it out at some point.